What's up, everybody? Week 1 wasn't so bad. Usually the first 2-3 weeks of the NFL season I find the most difficult for myself to predict, and this year it was off to a pretty good start. Carolina +2 at New York Giants -2. Over-under in this one's 43.5. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, both I expect to have good games in this one. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Baker Mayfield. I just like them better than Daniel Jones and the rest of the New York Giants offense in this one. I'm going to take the points with the Panthers +2. I like the Panthers to win this by a field goal, something like 2017. I think it'll be a close game in the end, again, just like the Giants-Titans game was last week, except I think the Giants will lose by that field goal, and that field goal won't be missed in this one. And I lean to the under in this one as well, but neither would surprise me, and I won't be playing the over-under in this one. Indianapolis -3 at Jacksonville +3. Colts have lost 7 straight games in Jacksonville. Jags are 12-1-1 against spread their last 14 versus the Colts. Matt Ryan on the flip side is 4-0 versus Jacksonville in his career. I don't know what to make of this game. I'm probably going to stay right away from it. Even though I think Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor should be enough for Indy to get the win in Jacksonville and break that horrible 7-game winless streak, or losing streak in Jacksonville, I think Indy wins this one, and I think it's going to be tight. I think this one could be like a 23-20, 27-24 type score. I'm probably not going to play this one, though. Next up, we have Miami at Baltimore. Miami +3.5, over under 44.5 in this game. The Indy-Jacksonville was over under 45 as well. Miami-Baltimore over under 44.5. Baltimore -3.5 point home favorites. Lamar, he'll be ready for that fierce pass rush last year. What did Miami send? 24 defensive back rushes, 18 of them or something like that had at least 2 DBs rushing Lamar. Lamar is out for his contract year. That game 1 versus the Jets, he looked like he was really trying to prove he could be a passer and had his lowest rushing total in his career so far, or at least in his starts. To my recollection, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm on point with that stat. Getting J.K. Dobbins back, that'll really help Baltimore establish a running game where they don't have to rely on Lamar. I think that'll negate a bit of Miami's blitzes and sending so many DBs. If J.K. Dobbins returns and is healthy and can run, and Lamar runs a little bit in this offense and this game, I think that Baltimore will be able to do enough to win this game. I like them to win something like 30-24, like 31-24, something crazy like that, covered by a touchdown, obviously winning and covering the spread. New England Patriots -2.5 at Pittsburgh Steelers +2.5. I don't understand this line at all. Over-under is 40.5. What has New England done? Mac Jones has a back injury. I know the Steelers lost TJ Watt, but they still had 6 other players record a sack last week. So that obviously wasn't all TJ Watt. Now, did TJ Watt open up some of the lanes for those guys to get the sacks? Probably, but they still got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who can lead the defense in the DBs and the secondary for Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, even though he is in Pittsburgh. I wouldn't mind seeing him as an Eagles head coach, but so be it. He's still one of my favorites, and they got Miles Jack, linebacker. Pittsburgh still has a good defense. Where is New England going to get points from in this game? I like Pittsburgh to not only cover the spread, I like them to win the game, but I don't see either team really scoring in this one. I like it something like 14-10, 13-10, 17-14 max. I don't think either team really gets a lot of points in this one at all. Sorry, I need a sip of my water. Been a long day. New York Jets +6.5 at Cleveland -6.5. Browns haven't started 2-0 since 1993, longest drought in the NFL. Jets are 6-2. Cleveland 6-2 their last 8 versus the Jets. Browns ground game should be enough to get this done. Jets, I don't know, can they hang tough, especially with Salah going off saying he's going to take notes or whatever for everyone who's doubted them. I think they might play with a little bit of pride and keep this game within a touchdown, but the Browns should win this game, no problem. I'm going to pick Browns 24-20, something like that, maybe 27-23. Not quite enough to cover that large number, but enough to win the game and not really be in fear. Jets with like a late touchdown or something to make that spread cover in the end. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. The Saints are 2.5-point home underdogs in this game. I know they surrendered over 200 rushing yards or yards on the ground to Atlanta last week, which doesn't bode well, especially since Tampa's running game actually seemed to be all right against Dallas's defense. I don't know what's going to hold true in this. Tom Brady's 1-0 with the Bucs in the playoffs versus the Saints, but in the regular season, the Saints are 4-0, including the only time I can remember Tom Brady ever being shut out in a game. That was the 9-0 win or whatever it was. In that, the Bucs O-line is beat up. Godwin, I believe, is out. Evans is questionable for Tampa Bay. I don't know, but do you really see Brady going 0-5 against any team as a starter with a team? I just don't see it. Everything to me kind of points to the Saints in this one, but I think I'm going to have to roll with the Bucs, and I keep on flip-flopping on this game. I'm definitely not betting on it. This is a complete stay-away game for me. If you feel strong about a side, so be it. Put your money on wherever you feel strong. Go with your gut. I'll always say go with your gut feeling. Quite often it is right. I'm going to say Tampa Bay squeaks this one out like 23-20 or something like that in the end, and Brady finally gets a regular season win, starting quarterback for the Bucs over the Saints in the division rivalry. Washington +1 at Detroit. I can't remember the last time the Detroit Lions were favored. I don't think they were favored a single game last. I think you're going back at least a season and a half or 2 seasons. I didn't look that up. I should, because I'm actually curious about that. Over under on this one is 48.5. I just don't believe in the Commanders. I don't know whether Philly's defense just completely went to sleep in the second half there. DeAndre Swift carved up their defense. I think he can do the same against Washington. Washington's got some talent, but they also got Carson Wentz. Just like last week, he's going to get you 3 touchdown passes, but he's also going to fumble the ball once or twice or force a throw and cause a pick or 2 during the game and give the other team good field position. I just think Detroit impressed me more with what they did, be it a late comeback in the second half against the Eagles last week. I just like what they've been doing, and that young kid St. Brown, the wide receiver for Detroit, I like him as well. Jared Goff, all he has to do is manage the game, get the ball in Swift's hands, and then get it to the young wideouts that they have. I think Detroit wins this game and covers. I like them to win in a high-scoring game like 31-28, 28-24, 27-24, some shit like that. Atlanta +10 at LA Rams -10. Rams have 3 new starters on the O-line this week. They got hammered by the Bills last week. I don't know how you're double-digit favorites in this one. I do think they're going to roll them, though, because Atlanta didn't really impress me. They had the good ground game against the Saints, which was a little bit surprising. But I think the Rams are a better team than the Saints, personally, even though they got blown out by the Bills in week 1. Congrats, Bills. You look ready for the fucking deep playoff run. That's all I can say. I didn't feel bad at all betting on the defending Super Bowl champs at home to open the season against a team with all the pressure on it, with all the expectations on it. So be it. In this one, I'm going to take the Rams to roll. I don't really have a lot to say on it. I'm going to pick LA like 30-17 or something like that. 27-10, something like that. I think they're going to roll through the Falcons. Seattle +9 at San Fran -9. I don't understand this number at all. Rashad Penny and Kenny Walker, they're just going to ground and pound the ball. That's what Seattle wants to do. Run the clock, run the game, grind it out. I don't see how you get to a double-digit victory against a team that wants to control the clock so much. Geno Smith, he's just got to manage the offense for Seattle like he did last week, even though he couldn't take advantage of all those turnovers they forced, especially the 2 in the red zone, deep in your own end, mind you. But still, he managed the game, and that's all he has to do is get the ball in his 2 backs' hands, manage the game, keep it close. I do not think Seattle is starting 2-0, as much as I do not like Trey Lance, but how can I judge them with that weather last week? Like, that was atrocious. You can't judge Justin Fields or Trey Lance by that game last week. I don't know how anybody did anything. But holding on to the ball must have been tough. Just finding footing to even grip somebody or block somebody, tackle somebody. Everything was so fucking tough. That was borderline a fucking monsoon last week in Chicago there. It was horrific weather. I think San Fran is the better team, though. I think they're going to win, but not believing in their quarterback so much. I think it's going to be a lot closer and tighter game, especially with the ball control and running game Seattle's going to try and implement. And if they're successful, they could pull off the upset. I don't think it's going to happen. I like San Fran to win this game 23-20 or something like that. Arizona plus 5.5 at Las Vegas minus 5.5. Cards. Cliff Kingsbury. Like, seriously, our team needs to practice and prepare better? And then all the offseason bullshit with Kyler Murray and his contract, and does he study enough? Does he look at film enough, etc.? Like, how are you saying this after week 1, after all that offseason bullshit with your quarterback? Like, I was thinking about betting on the Cards to at least cover the spread, even though I love the Raiders this year a lot. I got Kansas City, Las Vegas, Chargers, Broncos in that order to win that division. Man, how can I back a team whose coach is telling me through the media, that they're not practicing good enough to be prepared well enough for games? I don't understand that. That's all I have to say on this game. I think Davante Adams and Derek Carr carved them up. Not quite as good as Patrick Mahomes, but I think in similar fashion. I love the Raiders to win this by a touchdown, something like that. 35-28 is what I have written down here for my predicted score in this game. The over-under in this one is 51.5, so I obviously like this game to go over the total. Cincinnati Bengals, -7 at Dallas, +7. Cooper Rush, I understand he had a good game last year. Who was it against? Minnesota, I want to say. Can't remember off the top of my head. Neither team really looked good in week 1. The 5 turnovers by the Bengals, how they kept that game to overtime or to the end of the game with the field goal to lose. I don't know how that turned out. Joe Burrow, he's one of the toughest fucking quarterbacks I've seen. And it's fitting he was playing against Pittsburgh, who just had one of the toughest quarterbacks prior to him, Ben Roethlisberger, as their QB until this year. Cowboys are just so beat up. So beat up. Micah Parsons, I love this kid. He's one of my favorite players to watch, even though he does wear the star on his uniform. Still, how can you not like watching that kid if you are a football fan, period? Kid's fantastic, but by himself and the Cowboys defense, are they going to be able to hold Cincinnati's offense and Joe Burrow to like 10 points or less? Because I don't see the Cowboys offense putting up more than 10, 14 points on the board in this game. I think the Bengals win this game just because I think Dallas's injuries and everything is just way too much to overcome. Hopefully Burrow's recovered a bit more from the appendectomy and from all the sacks he took last week. What was it? 7 sacks, 14 in his last 2 games, because he got 7 sacks 7 times in the fucking Super Bowl as well. In Pittsburgh, I think he had 7 different players with a sack, or at least 6 different players with a sack last week. I can't remember now. I think Bengals win this one like 24-10 or something like that. 21-10, 21-7, something to that fashion. Houston Texans +10 at Denver -10. Why is Denver favored by double digits after what we saw last week? The over-under in this is 46, by the way. The Broncos need to show me something before I fucking get behind this team. They had 4 red zone opportunities last week, I believe. They turned the ball over on 2 of them and failed to score a touchdown on any of them. How are you favored by double-digit points? I don't care who you're playing. Houston showed what they can do with the tie against Indianapolis, who many have run away with the division because they have Matt Ryan at quarterback this year instead of Carson Wentz. I don't understand the spread at all. All I have to say as well to Denver is 64-yard field goal attempt, 4th and 5, Russell Wilson. That's it. Coaching decisions. How am I going to pick your team by double digits? I don't care who you're playing when all those things factor into my head from last year, and let alone how you played in the past Denver before you got Russell Wilson as quarterback. Sorry. I am picking Denver to win this team because they are definitely the better team, but by double digits, not a chance. 24-17, 28-21, 27-21, something like that sounds more reasonable to me. Houston covers the spread. Denver wins. I'm going to be all over Houston on the spread probably in this one. Next up, Chicago at Green Bay. Packers minus 10. 10-point home favorites. Neither of these two teams really impressed me in week one either, but again, the Bears, like the 49ers, I'm giving a pass on week one because that weather was way too fucking atrocious to judge anyone. I don't have much to say about it. I think the two Aarons get it done, Jones and Rodgers for the Packers. I know their offensive weapons aren't the greatest. I just don't think the way that Rodgers has dominated Chicago in Chicago, I think that just carries on because I don't think Justin Field has progressed enough yet to really take on and beat the Packers in this deep division rivalry yet. I think he's got another year away, or maybe later another year away from maybe being able to defeat that, depending on what the Packers do next offseason to address their wide receiver room. I think the Packers win this one like 27-17, something like that. I like the Packers to win, and I like this number a lot. I think this number is bang on. I think this number, Green Bay wins by 10. Might slightly lean to Chicago if I'm going to play the spread. I'm probably going to stay away from this game totally because I like that number a lot. 30-17 maybe, but I could also see 24-17. So, Packers to win this game. I'm staying away on the spread. Next up, Tennessee at Buffalo. Buffalo, 10-point home favorites. Their home opener. Monday night, this is the early kickoff. What is it? 7 o'clock, and the Eagles-Vikings is 8:30, I believe. They overlap, so you're going to have two teams, or two TVs. Two teams. Two TVs to watch both games. I have two TVs down here, but also my big TV. I can 2-box it, I can 3-box it, or I can 4-box it, so I can watch multiple sports at the same time and throw a different sport on my other TV, plus one on my laptop, plus one on my phone, plus one on my iPad. So I've always got multiple shit going on, and I watch everything from Aussie Rules football, Euro football, American football, CFL, soccer, rugby, cricket, golf, basketball, hockey, yeah, you name it, the four major ones. All right, where was I? Tennessee, Buffalo, over under 47.5. Titans choked away that lead to the Giants. Oh my goodness, up by 13. Then they let Saquon Barkley go off, especially that 174-yard run or whatever that was. Oh my goodness, that was impressive. It was good to see from Saquon. He has absolutely no help on that offense, in my opinion. The Bills, wow, they looked ready for a deep playoff run, like I mentioned earlier. The way they dominated the Rams in L.A. in the season opener, while L.A.'s getting their rings, the defending champions, that impressed me a lot. I wasn't ready to jump on the Bills bandwagon against the defending champs in week one. They had to show it to me first. Derrick Henry, though, he ran for 143 yards on 20 carries on Monday night last year against the Bills, if I remember correctly. I don't think this should be a double-digit number. If the Bills blow them out like they did the Rams last week, so be it. I'm not laying this many points, no matter who you are this early in the season, especially against a team that I think is going to be a playoff team, win their division, but if not, at worst, a wild card team in the AFC, in the Titans. Derrick Henry, one of my favorite players in the NFL. I've had him since a rookie in my fantasy football league as well. He's been one of my keepers year in and year out. I like Buffalo to win this game still. I think they squeak out a close one, 27-24, 30-27, 28-24, something like that. I think this is a real tight game. Comes down to the end where Josh Allen drives the field for either a game-winning TD or a field goal in the end to knock off the Titans in heartbreaking fashion for the second week in a row to begin their season. I still think they're a playoff team by the end of the year. On to the Monday Nighter. All right, Minnesota +2 at Philadelphia. Philadelphia -2. Over under 50.5. I don't need these notes anymore to talk about this game, that's for sure. Justin Jefferson, everybody knows that story. Jalen Reagor, who the Eagles picked in front of him. Now they're both on the fucking Vikings. So this game, they'll be looking to go off. Kirk Cousins, such an underrated quarterback. He has a horrible Monday night, Sunday night primetime game record. Doesn't matter. Delvin Cook is the fucking player that scares me the most in this game. By the way, I am not fucking betting on this game at all. I am not playing anything except maybe a Jalen Hurts over rushing yards prop and probably a Josh Allen, a Delvin Cook over total yards receiving and rushing. Not sure which way I'll go, but they'll be the only two plays that I might make on this game. I'll be staying away from it. Delvin Cook scares me, especially after what DeAndre Swift did to the young, new-looking Eagles defense, which I think will be great, but it obviously didn't click in week 1. I'm hoping that Jonathan Gannon can turn that shit around fucking right now, especially with Minnesota coming in and all the hype. The Eagles, one of the best fan bases in the best fan base in the NFL, toughest place to fucking play in the NFL, and the Vikings. Wow, what a scary team. A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, they're both going to eat a lot. But if Minnesota plays in that too high shell or too shell high, too deep, and they only pass rush with 4, the Eagles' running game is going to be able to control this game. Regardless of what the Vikings try to do on offense, they're going to control the clock with their 4-headed running attack, and Jalen Hurts will lead the way in the rushing until they bring a man in, and then they can do play action and run with Devontae, Quez, or AJ down the field, and we all see how much Hurts loves throwing to AJ Brown already. Nothing wrong with that. I'd like to see him spread that ball out a little more evenly, though, to be honest with you, especially when you still got Goddard and Devontae and Quez, like I said, to go along with AJ. I think the Eagles' running game could be the difference in this one. I think this is a field goal game, and I think it's a high-scoring game. I think it's like 31-28, 38-35, 35-32, something like that. Both teams right in and around that 30-35 scoring range. I'm picking the Eagles on my video because I am an Eagles fan. That's the only reason. Like I said, my money is going nowhere near this game unless it's on Jalen Hurts or Delvin Cook over rushing or over total yard props. That is all I will do with this game. So I'll pick the Eagles to come out on the right side of this one and start their season 2-0. But flip a coin in this one. I think this should be a great game. I'm so looking forward to this game, even though I know I could be disappointed in the end, or I'm going to be biting my nails right down to the end of this one because I think it's going to be close. And both teams will have a hard time stopping the other with the offensive weapons that both sides can roll out. I think this is going to be a great game. Go Eagles, go. Fly Eagles, fly, baby. Come away with the win. I'm hoping, but I ain't putting my money on it. That's my week 2 picks. Peace.